Hello, champions. Have you ever asked yourself, why do some people thrive while others survive? Have you ever asked yourself, why is it that some people can stay on track while other people fall off the track on a regular basis? Today in this video, I'm going to show you how the focus is actually what you don't do, as opposed to focus being what you do. In other words, I'm going to show you how to get out of that preoccupied state, and the worst place in the world to be is the worst occupation to have is preoccupation. So let's just get straight to the story this morning and what it is. I'm going to teach you a story, a couple of stories here from out the Bible today. We're going to talk about how to stop focusing on what you don't want so that you can actually get what it is that you do want, what should actually be in your life as opposed to what's not in your life, how to get things out of your life that shouldn't be in, and how to get the things into your life that shouldn't that you don't have any life currently that you long for. Okay, so let's talk about it. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. And let's get straight to the scriptures and start this point today. In the book of John, chapter 21, we have Jesus about to have a conversation with Peter. They just got through seeing Jesus on the side of the seashore, and he told them to cast their net in and get some fish. They had so many fish. They had like 153 fish that came out. Now they're getting ready to have dinner, and everybody's happy, and they're happy to see Jesus. And now watch this conversation that Jesus has with Peter, and this conversation that Jesus has, and watch this exchange, this dynamic exchange that takes place. All right. He says, so when they had dined, Jesus said to Simon Peter, he said, Simon, son of Jonas, he said, lovest thou me more than these? He saith unto him, yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He saith unto him, feed my sheep. He said unto him, feed my lambs. Then he saith unto him again the second time, he said, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? He saith unto him, yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He saith unto him, feed my sheep. So 2 times Jesus is telling Peter what to do. And obviously, Peter is not focused. Why? Because focus is not what you do. Focus is what you don't do. All right. So the first thing that you don't do is that you don't ignore God. See, Jesus is talking to Peter, but Peter is ignoring God. Why? Because he's preoccupied. I'm going to tell you in a little bit about what he's preoccupied with. But this is one of the reasons why we can't get what's meant for us in our life, is because God be talking to us and we be ignoring God because we preoccupied. I mean, come on. You ever got down to pray and your mind got so focused on stuff that you didn't want while you was praying until you had to pray just to pray? That ever happened to you? Where you're like, I'm so distracted. I'm on my knees and I'm right here with God, who got all the answers to everything it is that I need, who can absolutely positively take care of all my business, everything that needs to happen. But I'm so preoccupied with what's going on in my subconscious mind until I can't even have this conversation with God because I'm so preoccupied. See, that's what focus is. Focus is what you don't do. You see, once you can get rid of what you don't do, it's nothing left over except what you're supposed to do. So most people, unfortunately, go through their days and they don't get as much accomplished as they should have. And why? It's because of what they not doing that they should not be doing. Okay. That's our biggest problem. Our biggest problem ain't what we're doing. Our biggest problem is what we should not be doing. And as you can see with Peter right here, he's talking right to God. He's talking to God. He's talking to Jesus. I mean, face to face. And he is not paying attention. Why? Because he's preoccupied. How do we know? Because Jesus asked him twice. He said, hey, Pete, he said, you love me? Pete said, you know that. You know it. You know I love you. All right. He said, well, go ahead and feed my sheep. So Peter don't move. All right. He said, well, you say, why don't Peter move? It's because he's preoccupied. You say, what is he preoccupied with, Ricky? I promise you, I'm going to tell you that in a few minutes, what he's preoccupied with. But let me explain something to you about our minds and about our hearts and how life can get us so zoned in to what doesn't really matter until God can be talking directly to us and we don't even realize it. I mean, he's talking directly to Peter and he's telling Peter, come on, bust a move, now go feed my sheep. But Peter, see, this is the problem. See, one of the reasons why we're so preoccupied, one of the reasons why what we don't understand about God is that when God tells us to do something, then he tells us to do something that's not in front of us already. All right. What do you mean by that? I mean, he tells us to do something that's not right in front of us so that we can go ahead on and react to what he said. And then once we react to what he says, once we create an action, then we create God's reaction. Say, what do you mean by that? I'm saying, for example, Abraham. Abraham is up in a mountain and he tells the guys, he said, listen, me and my son, this is after he had in his old age, he's 100 years old, and he has this child named Isaac. And so God told him to take him up and sacrifice him. So he's like, okay, all right. So he moves quick. So his actions is that he go up into the mountain and he tell the people, he said, we're going to be back. Not just me. He said, we're going to both be back, me and my son, because he know that even if he kill him, God can raise him up from the dead. So he's like, you know what? He gets the knife up in his hand and he's about to chop Isaac. Once he does this action, puts the knife up into the air, then a ram is created and he sees the ram over in the bush, and the ram stops him from killing his son. Why? Because your action is what creates God's reaction. So quite often we like, man, why ain't God doing much for me? Well, it's because when God tells us to do something, if we get preoccupied, then we won't do the thing because we don't see nothing right in front of us based on what God said. But God never, he always tells you to do something, and he always tells you to do it with nothing in front of you. The reason he tells you to do it with nothing in front of you is because now you got to make an action based on faith and not based on sight. And that's the reality of God. See, the reality of God is faith, because without faith, it's impossible to please God. So the reality of God is faith. The fantasy world is the person who says, okay, Lord, okay, here it is. Here's the action you told me to take. All right, put the thing right in front of me you want me to do. And God is like, that's not how it works. The way it works is I tell you what to do, and then you just go ahead on and take the action. And then I present to you how my reaction to your action. Now, you hear what I'm saying? You say, I don't believe that, Brother Ricky. Well, think about Hezekiah. All right, God reacts to your reaction. Here's Hezekiah. And a prophet come and tell Hezekiah in the book of what book is this book chapter? Watch this, Hezekiah. So y'all can know these scriptures too. So in the book of 2 Kings, chapter 20, verse 5 and 6, he said, when Hezekiah pleaded for his life, that his life would be prolonged, he said, the Lord said, I'll heal thee, and I will add unto thee 15 years on their life, on your life. So Hezekiah was told that he was going to die, and he was going to die. Because the prophet came and told him, so you about to die, man. You ain't got, you're going to be up out of here in a few minutes, all right? They're about to have your funeral, bro, all right? Go ahead on, set your affairs in order. But Hezekiah was like, man, I ain't trying to hear that, all right? So Hezekiah said, I'm not going to focus on death because focus is what you don't do. So he said, I'm not going to focus on death. He said, I heard what you said. He said, but I'm not going to focus on that, all right? He said, because focus is what you don't do. See, he would have died if he had focused on death. But he said, no, I'm not going to do that. He said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn he turned his face towards the wall. In other words, he turned away from that death announcement that was on his life. And that's the same thing that you and I have to do. When somebody comes into our life and announce death, we have to turn away from that, because focus is what you don't do. And I don't focus on what people say about me that don't line up with what God said about me. And how about you? You should not focus on what people say about you that God didn't say about you. All right. Because focus is what you don't do. Focus is not what you do. And once you can stop doing the thing that's going to lead towards what you don't want, then you'll stop getting the thing that you don't want, because it makes no sense to be focusing on stuff that you don't want in your life. Why? Because you're going to get what you focus on. So focus is what you don't do. You got to ignore a lot of stuff to be a successful human being. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So here's Hezekiah. He ignored that stuff. When the man came in and told him he was going to die, he was like, no. I'm going to ask God to extend my life. So he turned his head, the Bible says, towards the wall, and he prayed. He's like, Lord, have mercy on my life. Give me some more time. I got more purpose in my life. I got some things I want to get done. Lord, I don't want to go out like this. It's too early, Lord. I remember when I had food poisoning back in the early 90s. I thought I was going to die. I mean, I was sick. I had ate some stuff and had some salmonella in it. And I don't know. I had caught COVID, but I wasn't afraid for my life when I had COVID, like when I got that food poisoning. And I was like, man, I said, Lord, I said, I'm too young to die. Please extend my days. Have mercy on me. Have mercy on me. Have mercy on me. And when that stuff finally came, when that food finally came up out of me, man, I was so grateful. I was like, whoo. I thought I had one foot in the grave. I know how Hezekiah felt. When you think you're getting ready to die, boy, you start crying out for your life. So he said, hey, Lord, have mercy on me. Give me some more years. I'm too young to die. That's what I was telling God. I was like, I'm too young to die. Give me some more time. Give me some more time. Have mercy, Lord. And he did. All right. And he had mercy on Hezekiah too, right? Because I wasn't focused on dying. I ignored that. I ignored the idea of dying. And I prayed to God to give me life. And you should too. You should ignore the idea of negative stuff happening to you. Okay. You say, well, Ricky, that's not the fantasy world. You got to deal with reality. Reality is what you make reality. Okay. Your reality is personal. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So I'm talking to you today about this idea. And that's the idea that focuses what you don't do. So don't do the things that's going to bring about your demise. Don't do the things that's going to happen to your chagrin. Don't do the things that's going to stop you from being successful. Just stop doing that. And then what? Success is the only thing that's left over. Just ignore what's not successful, and then you'll automatically do what? You'll land on what's successful. Are you hear what I'm saying? You got to learn how to ignore some stuff if you're gonna make it in this life, because you cannot be preoccupied. The occupation that you don't want is preoccupation. Don't be preoccupied with things that don't move the needle. Are you hear what I'm saying? Here's another example of what I'm talking about. How your action creates God's reaction. Okay. You got Ahab. Ahab is the most wicked king that was ever in the history of all the kings. He's married to Jezebel. She twice as wicked as he is. They some mean people. They some rotten people. I mean, they killing folk. They killing the prophets, chopping people's heads off. They low down. They as low down as you can get, lower than a snake's belly. They so low they got to look up to see the bottom. They some mean-spirited folk, all right? And they some barbarians, and they some idolaters, and they some wicked folk. You hear what I'm saying? And then so the prophet come and tell Ahab what's going to happen to him. He say, man, you about to go out. God about to split your head down to the white meat. So Ahab, watch what happened. This is Ahab. Now listen to this, all right? Listen to Ahab. Hey, watch what Ahab says. He says, Ahab, let me just show you how Ahab repented. Ahab, can you believe it? Ahab told God he was sorry. You would never think in the Bible, this would never happen nowhere. He said, and the word of the Lord came in Elijah the Tishbite saying, all right? He says, seest thou how Ahab humbleth himself before me? He said, because he humbleth himself before me, I will not bring this evil in his days. Excuse me. He said, in his days, he said, but I would bring this, he said, I would bring it upon his sons in his son's house. So here's Ahab. I mean, just as Ahab is mean a person as you could possibly be. But Ahab, once he saw that he was about to go out, he stopped being, he didn't preoccupy himself with the idea of dying. He said, well, I'm not going to focus on dying. He said, God is so merciful. I believe he'll even forgive me. So he said, what? Let me go ahead and take a shot. He said, I'm missing 100% of the shots you don't take. He said, so let me take a shot to get my mind off of the idea that I'm going to die. And let me get my idea on the mind I'm going to live. Let me ignore that, because focus is not what you do. Focus is what you don't do. Okay. So he asked God to forgive him. And then God forgave Ahab, the most wicked king ever in the history of time. So that should prove to all of us we should not focus on the mistake that we made. We should not focus on that. Why? Because God will forgive you. Because the Bible says, I will abundantly pardon you. That's what God says. You say, well, but you just don't know what I did, Ricky. It doesn't matter, because human beings don't forgive you. I mean, we all should forgive each other, but I'm talking about the ultimate forgiver is God. And God is not like people. God does everything abundantly, including forgiving. So you say, don't focus on the fact that you've done something that's evil in the sight of God. Focus on the fact that he will forgive you for it if you ask him to. All right. If he forgave Ahab, he'll forgive anybody. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So don't let nobody and nothing stop you from having a good relationship with God, so that you can be an amazingly successful person. All right. The only thing that can stop you from God, from having any kind of favor with God, is you. Ain't nobody else got no control over you but you. So take 100% responsibility for what? If you've done something wrong, repent about it, and then move on with your life. Why? Because focus is not what you do. Focus is what you don't do. And you can't sit around pondering the guilt of what you've done. Why? Because you can't do nothing else. You're going to be stuck like Chuck in a pickup truck and can't put cheese on a Whopper because you're steady stuck in the past. You can't live like that. All right. You got to be a person that says, you know what? I listen. I'm sorry about that. You know what? Lord, you know I'm sorry. If you got to apologize to people, hey, I'm sorry to you. And then you move on with your life. All right. Why? Because God is the author and the finisher of your faith. And you stay focused by what? Not focusing on that negative stuff. Are you hearing what I'm saying? All you're going to do is get some high blood pressure and end up in the grave a little earlier, focusing on things that you shouldn't be, by being preoccupied by things that's not going to move the needle. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So here's Peter. And 2 times now, Jesus then told him, he said, listen, do you love me? Peter said, yeah, I love you. He said, okay, all right, go feed my sheep. Peter ignores that. You know, he is what? Why? He ignoring God because he's so preoccupied. I'm going to tell you in a few minutes what he's preoccupied with, okay? But he's so preoccupied until God is talking to him and he ain't even really noticing. I got to ask you that question. Is God talking to you right now and you're so preoccupied with whatever the issue is until you just ignoring God? Why in the world would you ignore God? God got the answers. He's got whatever it is that you're dealing with, he's got 100% of the answers for whatever it is that you're dealing with. And he's going to answer your situation and he's going to get you through whatever it is that you're going through, as long as you understand to keep your focus from off of what you looking at so that God can help you. Are you hearing me? So here's Peter. Twice Jesus asked him to go feed his sheep. But the reason that Peter, I feel like I can feel it in my spirit. I can feel it in the Holy Ghost telling me the reason that Peter cannot go feed no sheep is because Peter's mind is not on those sheep. All right. Peter ignoring, he is preoccupied with something that's going on right there in the circle. And I'm gonna show you in a little bit what he's preoccupied with, but it's so bad until he's not thinking about sheep because they out there on a fishing deck, they out there where the fish is, and ain't no sheep out there. So when God tells him to go do something, and when God tell me and you to go do something, the thing that he wants us to do is not going to be right in front of us. This is what I really want y'all to understand. The thing that he wants us to do is not going to be visible because God wants you to do the invisible. So when you start doing the invisible, then the visible shows up. See, that's the thing people don't understand, because our focus is on the wrong place. All right. Our focus is on the visible. But God says that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good report. Through faith we understand that the worlds are framed by the word of God. So the things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. So the things that we can see, that's not what God wants us to focus on. He wants us to focus on the thing that made the thing. So that's a real life. So God is like, when I tell you to do something, then it's not going to be right in front of you, because if it was right in front of you, I wouldn't have told you to do it, because I'm not telling you to do things by sight. I'm telling you to do things by faith. And that's how you get my approval, because you cannot please me if you're doing things by sight. It's impossible to please me. You heard the song, to dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe. The impossible dream. The impossible dream is to what? Try to please God without faith. Because the Bible says without faith, it's impossible to please God. So it's what? And I'll always dream the impossible dream. That's an impossible dream. Because without faith, it's impossible to please God. Anybody please God without no faith? God doesn't work like that. God is like, what makes me happy? All right. God is like, this would make me, you want to make me happy? All right. Y'all want to see God smile? Then he said, okay, when I tell you to do something, don't be so preoccupied with how it's going to get done. Just start doing it. He said, and then I'll show you how it's going to get done. See, that's a serious problem with the brain and the mind of people. People thinking that, you know what, God, you show me what to do, then I go do it. He said, no, you go do it. I said, and then I show you how to do it. Are you hearing what I'm saying? It's just like people who think that they can become good at something. They say, well, when I become good at it, I start doing it. I'm like, no, you start doing it, and then you become good at it. See, that's what faith is. Faith is, I'm going to start an endeavor, even though right now I'm not any good at it, because I'll never be good at it if I don't start it. And I'll never be good at it if I don't do it several times. So by faith, I'm just going to start doing it now until I can get good at it. Why? Because you don't get good at stuff that you don't do. So you can't operate. That's operating by sight, expecting to go up to bat one time and then be a professional hitter. You have to go up to bat several times to be a professional hitter. You have to shoot a ball several times to be a professional shooter. You have to skate several times to be a professional skater. You have to do things several times to do anything. But faith is what gets you off the bench and gets you started to doing something. And if you focused on what you're looking at, see, focus is not what you do, it's what you don't do. So what you don't do is you don't look at the thing in front of you, because then you're going to lose what? You're going to lose the activity that creates a reactivity from God. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Because God, he reacts to the way that you act. So Peter ain't doing nothing because what? He don't see no sheep around. All right. Plus he's preoccupied. How do I know? Let's read the next verse and I'll show you. All right. So how do I know that? So here's the next verse. He says, so second time he asked him, and he said unto Peter the third time, he says, Simon, son of Jonas, he said, lovest thou me? Now Peter was grieved because he said unto him the third time, lovest thou me? And he said unto him, Lord, thou knowest all things. Thou knowest that I love thee. Jesus said unto him, feed my sheep. So watch what happens. When God tells us to do something and we ignore God, what happens is that because we don't see right in front of us what to do, because there ain't no sheep around. So God is telling him to feed some sheep, but there ain't no sheep around. So Peter think that God is just having a frivolous conversation with him, to the point that it grieves him. You see, because when God tells us to do something and we so preoccupied with something else, and then he tells us what to do, and now because we don't see right in front of us what it is we're supposed to do, we get aggravated with God. We're like, okay, Lord, why you keep saying that? All right, why you keep saying that? It's like, You ain't made no provision for me to do this thing. So why are you saying, why are you telling me to go do something and it ain't no clear way to even get this done? All right, Lord, why you like, you kind of getting on my nerves. All right. So the Bible say that Peter was grieved with Jesus. In other words, he grieved with God because he seemingly is getting a edit or a charge or a commandment from Jesus that don't make no sense. You say, I love you. Why are you tripping about this feed the sheep stuff? All right, why are you talking about that? We out here out here having dinner, okay? We just out here chilling, What's up with that? Why are you trying to you want me to stop doing what I'm doing and go feed some sheep? I mean, what's up, Lord? What's happening? Can we just sit out here and chill? And that's what God is telling all of us. He's like, no, we're not going to sit out here and chill, okay? He said, I fed you so you can go feed somebody else. All right. And I don't expect you just to sit around here and act like your life is all hunky dory and all that, because you and I were born to be servants and born to help feed each other. So as soon as God feed us, we're supposed to feed each other. As soon as that's why some of you all here, you're supposed to be feeding us on a regular basis, online, on YouTube, on Facebook. You got a whole lot of things you should be feeding people with, but you preoccupied. And because you're preoccupied, you make a lot of excuses about why you're not doing this and why you're not doing that. Just like Peter is doing right here. He's preoccupied. So focus is not what you do. Focus is what you don't do. So you don't get preoccupied with something while God is talking to you. You just get up and move quick, because delayed obedience is still disobedience. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Delayed obedience is disobedience. That's why some people can get things done at a mammoth rate, while other people stuck like Chuck in a pickup truck and can't get off first base, because some people they have delayed obedience. It's not like I don't plan on doing what you said, Lord, but I'm going to do it when I get ready. Okay. I'm going to do it when it makes sense to me. I'm going to do it when everything adds up. I'm going to do it when I can clearly see what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. That's the attitude that people take towards God. And because of that attitude, it's still disobedience, because what? You're not moving fast enough, because the Bible says the king's business requires haste. So when God tells us to do something, he expects us to move right then and there while he told us what to do. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Because if you delayed obedience, it's still disobedience. Are you hearing what I'm saying? It's not like God just cut you off and don't love you no more and all that. But what I'm saying is that the lack of focus is why people have such mediocre lives. All right. Because God is a merciful God. God will still allow us to live a mediocre life. He'll just cut our life off, but it ain't his will. What I'm saying is that he's like, look, I just told you what to do. And you are stalling. You get into it when you get ready to get to it. Why? Because you don't see the immediate way to do it, when that's not what I just told you, go ahead and do it. All right. And if you just go ahead and do it, then I'll show you what it is that you need to do. That's the way he treated Abraham. All right. Abraham didn't know how to get out of his stuff until he pulled the knife up. He could not see a ram in the bush. There was no ram in the bush. God put the ram in the bush. He reacted to the way that Abraham acted. Are you listening to me? And God reacts to the way we act. So when we act on faith, then he reacts with provision. Are you hearing what I'm saying? When we act with faith, then he reacts with provision. See, we be trying to get the provision before we act with the faith. But without faith, it's impossible to please God. So God doesn't give any provision to a person he's not pleased with. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Because the faith is what activates God's provision. The ram didn't show up until Abraham put the knife up in the air. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Once he put the knife up in the air and decided that he was going to go ahead on and sacrifice his son, then he saw his way out. Why? Because he was focused. He wasn't focused on all the things that would have stopped him from creating the provision that his act created. Let me run it back. Let me give it to you one more time. He wouldn't have never, if Abraham was focused on the idea of, you know what, man, because focus is what you don't do. All right. So he wasn't focused. Oh man, you know what? I got this knife in my hand. Man, my son is going to be dead in a little while. Wow. This is a long walk up this mountain. Gee whiz, I'm about to slice my own son's head off. Wow. God got to be cold blooded. Man, this is a mean thing you're telling me to do. See, if the reason he was able to do something is because of what he was not doing. He was not contemplating all that stuff. All right. Because if he had been contemplating that stuff, he wouldn't have been able to create the action that created God's reaction. And I'm telling you right now, I stopped by today to let you know that God is ready to do some amazing things in your life. Okay. God is ready to blow you up clear across the globe with what? International influence and impact. Why? For God, because God got a game plan out here, and he wants his word spoken out here, and he wants his plan done out here, and he wants his way done out here, and he wants to use you to do it. Are you hearing me? But in order for him to be able to use you, you're going to have to stop being preoccupied. So here's Peter, And Peter is, he's preoccupied because it's the third time God done told him to do something. So let's find out what he's preoccupied about. Y'all want to know? Y'all want to know? Y'all want to know what he's preoccupied about? Tell us in the chat and I'll tell y'all what he's preoccupied about. Y'all ready? Come on. Now, let me get at least 5 of y'all. Make sure y'all paying attention. All right. Just tell us in the chat. All right. And I promise you, I'll tell you. All right. I'm going to tell you why Peter is preoccupied. And then you see if this is you. And you let me know if this is why you ain't moving like you're supposed to be moving. Why it ain't happening in your life the way it's supposed to be happening. Why, if you want to move up the food chain, all right, then I'm going to tell you what preoccupied Peter. And then you let me know if this is preoccupying you. All right. So let's check it out. So what preoccupied Peter? All right. So he says that, so he asked him the third time to feed his sheep. He said unto him the third time, Simon, you love me? He said, then go ahead and feed my sheep. And so he said, verily, verily, I say unto you, this is Jesus talking. He said, verily, I say unto thee, when thou wast young, thou girdest thyself and walkest whither thou wouldest. He said, but when thou shalt be old, thou shalt stretch forth thy hands, and another shall gird thee and carry thee whither thou wouldest not. He said, this spake he, signifying with death he should glorify God. And when he had spoken this, he said unto him, follow me. All right, so God is telling Peter, okay, so you didn't go feed my sheep. He said, so let me tell you the next best thing to do. Just come on, follow me so I can help build up your faith. All right. Then Peter turned about, seeth the disciple whom Jesus loved following, which also leaned on his breast at supper and said, Lord, which is he that betrayeth thee? And Peter seeing him said to Jesus, Lord, what shall this man do? All right, so this is what Peter been preoccupied with all this time. Peter's been preoccupied with the fact that his friend John, good morning, that his friend John, his brother John, his close brother, his close disciple friend, been leaning on Jesus' breast while they've been sitting here talking. So Peter, he just don't really appreciate that because, Pete, he want to be the closest guy to Jesus. So he's looking at John leaning on Jesus' breast, and he's so preoccupied with John. See, focus is not what you do. Focus is what you don't do. All right. So what you don't do is that you don't mind other people's business. This is all I said, all of that for a half an hour, just tell y'all the first thing that you don't do, because focus is what you don't do, not what you do. All right. So don't mind other people's business. Why? Because you're going to block your blessings because you're minding somebody else's business. All right. Grandmama said you only got 12 hours to mind your own business and 12 hours to leave everybody else's alone. She said you got 6 months to mind your own business and 6 months to leave everybody else's alone. All right. What does that mean? That means that don't get preoccupied worrying about what somebody else is doing. Just make sure that you follow what God told you to do. All right. And that's how you get massively successful, because you become laser beam focused because you're not focused on what's going on with the next person. All this time, the real problem with Peter is that John is laying on Jesus, laying on Jesus' breast. So he finally go come on out and say what he really thinking. He said, what he gonna do? All right. And God is like, man, if he want to tarry here until I come back, that's my business. He said, I don't need Peter. He said, I don't need you minding this man's business, and I don't need you minding my business. I need you to mind yours. All right. And the fact that you are focused on what's going on with this brother means that you are not focused on what I just got through telling you to do. And you can't afford that. Okay. When you meet people and they say, I can't afford to pay this and I can't afford to pay that, I'm like, no, what you can't afford to do is you can't afford to be focused on things that don't produce. You can't afford to be focused on unproductive, unprofitable behaviors. That's what you can't afford. And the reason sometimes that you can't afford something monetarily of this is because of what you've been spending your time on. And because you've been spending you can't afford to do that. You can't afford to be minding other people's business. That's why when a person calls you and they start talking about somebody, you got to cut that call off really fast because you can't afford that. Why? Because that is what you don't do is what makes you well off. What you don't do. And what you don't do is that you don't entertain gossip. What you don't do is that you don't entertain foolishness. What you don't do is you don't entertain witchcraft. What you don't do is that's why you don't watch the media. Why? Because the media is just plural for medium, and medium means witchcraft, summonses, calling up folks, spirits, demons. And the media is controlled by what? Witches and warlocks. So you don't sit around and watch and listen to the media. Why? Why? Because it's what you don't do. Because once that stuff gets embedded in your brain and in your mind, now you're paralyzed with fear, intrepidation, apprehension, and scared, and stuck like Chuck. Scared, want to stay in the bed with the covers over your head. Why? Because the media does that stuff on purpose to keep you in check. All right. So you can't afford to do that. So you can't focus is what you don't do. So when people ask me a lot of questions about people and what's going on with them, I don't know what they're talking about. Why? Because I'm not focused on other people's business. I'm not focused on the news. I'm not focused on things that I know were built on purpose to poison my brain. I can't afford it. Why? Because then the things I'm supposed to be doing, I can't do them because I'm stuck and paralyzed with fear and fearfulness and scared and apprehension and all that sort of thing. And you can't afford it. Nobody can afford that. Are you hearing me? And that's why people can't afford material things. It's like I'm look at what you did with your time. Okay, your time was not on what moves the needle. Your time was on what does not move the needle. And focus is not what you do. Focus is what you don't do. So Peter's problem right here is he's focused on his brother. So he's jealous about what's going on with John, and so he is not feeding those sheep because he ain't interested in feeding those sheep because he's interested in what's going on with John. So God can't get through to the man because he's not listening to God because he ain't focusing on what God wants. He's focusing on what don't mean nothing. So I got to ask you a question. What's going on with you this week? What's been going on with you this month? What's been going on with you this year? What have you started ignoring that you used to pay close attention to? I got to ask you that question today. So, and I want to ask you a question moving forward. As you move forward this year, as you move forward in your career, as you move forward in your ministry, as you move forward in your purpose, what is it that you're going to be determined to stop doing this year that you had been doing previous to this year? What you're going to stop doing this week that you have been doing previous to this week because you know it's not moving the needle. Okay. Let me give you two more things that you don't want to do. The second thing that you don't want to do. So first of all, you don't want to be jealous of people. You don't want to focus on other people. You want to focus on what's going on with you. All right. Then the second thing is that you don't want to focus on other people's money. You focus on your money. All right. Let me show you what I'm talking about. In the 20th chapter of Matthew, we have Jesus teaching a parable about a businessman. He said, the kingdom of heaven is like a householder that went forth to hire people to work with him. He said, so he hired some people in the morning, he hired some people in the afternoon, hired some people in the early evening, and then finally he hired some people close to midnight. He said, so the people that he hired initially, they got mad and they got unfocused and they got jealous because the last people he hired, he paid them all a penny. So they said, hey, sir, what are you doing? What are you doing with your money? How dare you pay them the same amount of money that you paid us because we agreed to a penny. And here they are in the last hour. They ain't already did no work. We did all this hard work and here they come in reaping the benefits of our work. That's not fair. All right. So they're trying to tell this man what's fair about his money. So the man checks him and he lets him know. He says, are you evil because I'm good? He said, didn't you agree with me that you was going to accept a penny? So what happens is that when you make an agreement with somebody, then your vision has to become what? Narrow. And now you ain't paying attention to nobody else except your agreement, and you're not paying attention to their agreement because you cannot count another person's money because it's not your money. All right. You count your money and you stop meddling with other folk and counting their money if you want to get somewhere with God, because without faith, it's impossible to please God. And people who are always, by faith, they should have been happy to have a job and said, you know what? By faith, we're going to keep working until we're able to build up enough assets so we can start our own business just like this man is. Let us hang around this man and find out how he runs a business. Let's do real good by him and let's make his business blow up. And then perhaps I can learn from his strategies how I can build my own company up. See, because they was thinking about the penny they was getting paid. They wasn't thinking about the environment that they were in. They didn't understand that sometimes it's good to go into an environment and work for free just to learn what the environment is about so that you can really get paid later. So don't pay attention to other people's money. Pay attention to your money. All right. Don't focus on what somebody else is getting. Focus on what you're getting. Focus on gratitude. Don't focus on meddling. You see, money. Listen, focus is not what you do, it's what you don't do. And what you don't do is you don't pay attention to other people's money. You pay attention to yours. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So he told him that I agreed with a penny for you. He said, and that's all you're going to get. And don't you ever have another conversation with me about my money that ain't your money. All right. Don't you ever try to come in bogart your way into a situation again. And that's the way we all should be. The way we all should be, we should be in our own lane, making sure that we're doing the thing that we agreed to. Okay. Whatever it is that we agree to, then let's make sure that that's what we do. And then whatever it is that's going on with other people, that's their business. It's not your business. It's not my business. What's going on with the next person. See, then what happened is that you'll end up being immensely successful. You have amazing success in life because the focus is right. And what? The unfocus is right. Because you stop focusing on what's going on with the next person, which means you can start focusing on what's going on with you. Are you hearing what I'm saying? It's impossible to focus on what's going on with you when you are focusing on what's going on with somebody else, because self-improvement is impossible for the person who ain't paying no attention to themselves. Are you listening to what I'm saying? All right. The way that you get ahead is that you're not paying attention to the next person. I'm talking about in terms of meddling in their business. You paying attention to what's going on with you, because we need to be getting much better at whatever it is that we're doing every day. We need to be having marketed improvement in whatever it is that we do every day. So when somebody hires you to do something, stay laser beam focused on what you agreed to, not what they agreed to with somebody else, because it's not your money, it's their money. All right. Don't focus on other people's money. When I was doing a real estate deal, and I was dealing with this guy named Jason, and Jason came to buy this house from me, and I was like, oh man. I went into the house and I saw that I could sell it for a lot more money than what I promised him I was going to sell it to him for. But I knew he was going to make a lot of money off the house. But I said, hey Jason, send me a message back, within at least 2 hours that you're going to buy this house, or else I just send it out to other people so I can make the money I really should be making. He knew it. He knew it. He's like, man. At first, he looked at me because he was probably thinking that I was counting his money and that I was probably going to try to like change the price. But I told him I'm not going to change the price because that would be cheating, because I told you one price. It's my fault that I came in here and hadn't looked at this house. It's not your fault that I hadn't been over here on the inside. It's my fault. So I'm not going to be focused on your money. I'm not going to focus on that. Why? Because if I focus on your money, I'm going to start focusing on it like it's my money. If I start focusing on it like it's my money, then I'm gonna get an attitude. Then if I get an attitude problem, then I'm gonna try to cheat you. And then if I try to cheat you, then I'm gonna have to suffer the consequences of being a cheater. All right. Because then I'm gonna try to push your price up and then act like it was okay to push your price up because of my mistake. But when you make a mistake, you just have to eat the mistake. You can't make the next person pay for your mistake. You got to pay for it. All right. So that was my attitude about him, because that's his money. That's not my money. You say, well, Ricky, how can it be his money? You ain't even sold on the house yet. Yes, you did. When you say something to somebody and you got control over the outcome, then you make sure that you do what you said, because you got control over the outcome. I had control over the outcome of what was going to happen with this man, with this house. So me stopping him and me faking like, like now I got to check, I got to adjust the price on you now. No, you can't be adjusting the price. All right. You got to do what? You got to make sure that man, he makes all of his money. That's your duty, because you the one that's brought the whole thing up, not him. All right. So he called me back just like he said he would. And he bought the house just like he said he would. And he made his money just like he said he would. And he ended up, I don't know what he made. That's his business. All right. It's not my business. So I'm not focused on somebody else's business, because it drains all of your energy. And then what's the problem with you? Now you can't go forward doing what you're supposed to do, because you lost all your energy focused on something that don't got nothing to do with you. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Because focus is not what you do, it's what you don't do. And you lose your energy when you have unbridled focus. Are you listening to me? You lose your energy, you lose your blessings, you lose you lose your momentum, you lose your power, you lose your impact, you lose a lot of money, you lose everything that you're supposed to have. You lose it when you got unbridled focus. And when you will focus on what you're not supposed to be focused on, because it's a spirit of covetousness. And the spirit of covetousness is the spirit of pettiness. And the spirit of pettiness, it goes totally against the principles of God. So God will not back up a person who does what? Who is focused on what? Meddling in other people's business. That was that man. When I told that man I was selling that house, whatever I agreed to with him, now it's over with. All right. Because I don't want duplistic focus. Because why? Because then now I'm sitting up here thinking, man, this man finna make all this money. This man finna make all this money. Now that's the time I could have been calling another client, sending out another email, getting in touch with somebody else, buying and selling another house, which is what I was doing at the time, buying and selling houses. So whatever I was getting ready to do, I don't want to slow down what I'm doing, because I'm all in this man's business. Are you hearing what I'm telling you? See, most people don't understand how to be, bringing about their own demise. Most people don't understand it. They don't understand it. Just get over that spirit of covet. Stop idolizing money, and stop idolizing, material stuff. Stop it. Cut it out. Okay. Get the focus on just doing the thing that's right to do. And then all that stuff. That's why the Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. Because you're like, you know what, I'm not focused on other people's money. I'm focused on making sure the person get the right service. Okay. And then all that money stuff, it'll straighten out, it'll be all right. All that stuff will even out. And you'll end up prospering. Sometimes you got to go backwards before you can go forward. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Just don't backslide. Because why? Because you coveting what don't belong to you. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So don't count other people's money. Are you hearing me? I had another situation where I got a guy named Chad. And Chad came to me to buy this house from me. And I was like, so he was buying it from one of my students. So we went and we sold the man a house. So, well, he came over and they said, can I do some financing with you? I said, I don't normally do that. I said, but I believe you. I believe that you're just going to do right. So he said, okay. So in the middle of all of that, we found out that the payoff that we was getting from the lady wasn't accurate because it was a foreclosure, because we have a system, a real estate system that shows us all the foreclosures going on all around the United States simultaneously every day. So we know all the foreclosures in every neighborhood, every zip code, and all that sort of a thing. If you want to learn about all that stuff, just come to our Financial IQ Challenge and we'll teach you what it is that we do. So might as well do a commercial. MyFinancialIQChallenge.com. That's where you can learn it. MyFinancialIQChallenge.com. You come to the challenge and we can show you how we do real estate deals. So anyway, we found out about the payoff with this house and found out that we had made a mistake because my student didn't really get her real payoff. He just took what she said, but she was in foreclosure. So she just said what she thought. She hadn't looked it up and got it from the bank. So she didn't know what her payoff really was. So I come to find out that her payoff was more than what she thought, which reduced the price that we was going to make from $25,000 down to like $10,000. So again, my focus was not on, we want to make sure that we took care of her too, because it was a foreclosure. So we just want to make sure we took care of the lady, make sure she was all right. Okay. So you say, Ricky, here you go. You're about to lose some more money. So what you do? Did you call Chad and tell him, hey man, you're going to have to pay us $15,000 more, which he would have paid because he really wanted the house, but it just was wrong to do. Why? Because I don't want money that don't belong to me, because I'm not focused on stuff that don't belong to me. Now you hear what I'm saying? And you shouldn't be focused on stuff that don't belong to you, because all you're doing is just blowing your blessings. Yeah, you might get ahead for a few minutes with that little stuff, but you're not going to grow mammothly wide, large and huge with that type of attitude and that type of temperament. Don't be focused on what don't belong to you. All right. Focus is what you don't do. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So I said, your price is not going up. So we still made like $10,000 or something. All right. So good. Just celebrate that and move on to the next deal. And then what ended up happening? I ended up doing so many real estate deals until I was able to go from making $100,000 to being a millionaire by doing deal after deal after deal, because I wasn't stealing nobody's money. So focus is what you don't do. Focus is not what you do. It's what you don't do. It's what you refuse to do. All right. Take Sam Zell, for example. Don't focus on other people's money. All right. This is the first thing, is don't focus on other people's business. Second thing is don't focus on other people's money. All right. So Sam Zell, if you all haven't read his book, it's called Am I Being Too Subtle by Sam Zell. Sam Zell was one of the top real estate investment trust. He really created and brought to the forefront real estate investment trust. Okay. REITs. All right. So Sam Zell, he just passed away earlier. He passed away last year, I think in May of last year. And he came to America as an immigrant he was a Jewish immigrant that came to America and barely escaped the Holocaust. His family did. So he came here in 1941 when he was in his mother's womb. And he ended up having a company that he sold for $39.6 billion. I'll call it Equity Office. So he created what you call real estate investment trust. But when he was a young guy and he was going to the University of Michigan, he was doing his first real estate deals. So he went to buy this block. And so he went to buy this whole block. His father ended up helping him finance this block. So he's putting $1,000 down on these houses and let everybody on this block know that we're about to tear this whole block down. And then we're going to build a college dorms and stuff on this block. So would you like to sell us your house? Because, pretty much everybody on this block is going to sell their house. So he went to one person. He said, yeah. He went to the next person. He said, yeah. Then he finally got to this person who had a kind of big house, bigger than most of the other houses. So the person told him, I want more money for my house than what you paid everybody else. So he's like, no, I can't do that. He said, why is that? He said, because we're going to tear the house down anyway. We just want the land. He said, but my house is bigger, and I want more money than what you're paying everybody else. He said, yeah, but if I paid you more money, then I'm going to have to pay everybody else more money. He said, well, that's fine with me. He said, because I ain't going to tell him. He said, now he's been neighbors with people for 30 years, but this is the spirit of covetousness with people. All right. He's been neighbors with people for 30 years. He don't care. All he concerned about is how much money he gonna get. So he told him, I don't care. He said, I won't tell them, if you just go ahead on and break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. He said, I'd be cool. I'm good with that, just as long as I can get some money. So Sam Zell told him, he said, man, he said, I'm not going to do that. So eventually the person realized that Sam Zell wasn't going to do it. So he went ahead on and he reluctantly agreed to the price that everybody else was agreeing to because he was counting other people's money. See, but don't be like that. Don't be counting other folks' money. Just stay in your lane and pay attention to what's going on with you and watch what happens to your life. God will escalate your life just like he escalated Sam Zell's life. See, Sam Zell ended up being a multi-billionaire because when he was a college student back then, he wouldn't what? He wouldn't G for what that dude was trying to get him to do way back in the day. And then one thing led to another, and he ended up selling, $39.6 billion was the biggest real estate deal that had ever taken place in the United States during that time back in 2007, I believe, when he closed that deal. All right. So don't count other people's money. And then the last thing is, so let me make sure I got all these notes right. So, all right. And last thing is don't concentrate on what you don't want. Okay. So number one, don't mind other people's business. Okay. Don't focus on that. Number two, how you doing, Tanette? God bless you. Number two, don't focus on other people's money. Don't focus on other people's business. Don't focus on other people's money. And then the last thing is don't focus on what you don't want to happen. All right. Don't focus on that because focus is not what you do. It's what you don't do. All right. So don't focus on what you don't want. So in the book of 1 Samuel, the 25th chapter, we have a guy named Nabal. Nabal is a rich dude. And David has been out there guarding his sheep for quite a while. But David is hungry now. And David ain't had no stings lately. He ain't invaded nobody's land. And they hungry. So his men sitting out there and they hungry, But they some good men. Okay. In fact, they're the best. They're a high-powered security team that's been protecting Nabal's stuff because Nabal is rich, but Nabal ain't got no army or nothing. So anybody could come and invade his stuff and take his stuff if they wanted to. But he's so blessed, so fortunate that he got David and David's 600 desperados who all got warrants on them, and they all running from Saul, but they're a combined force and they're a mighty army. Their army stronger than Saul's army, and Saul's army got millions of people because David's army's got millions of angels. So he got millions of angels fighting on his behalf. And so he's stronger than Saul, even though he only has 600 body, flesh and blood people with him. But he got the whole host of heaven fighting with him. So he got a much bigger, stronger army than Saul got. But, you just can't see his army. So that's why he's able to survive on the run with warrants from Saul. So he sends this message over to Nabal and says, hey, Nabal, listen, man, we took care of your sheep, for quite a while, man. It was King David's securities. We took care of your stuff. He said, so, can you send us something to eat? We just want something to eat. We're not, we don't want half of your company. Okay. We're not trying to be no shareholders in anything that you have. We're not trying to put you out of business, anything like that. And we're not trying to intimidate you into giving us anything to eat. We're just asking you as gentlemen, can you send us something to eat? Can we get a little reciprocity from you? Because we treated your stuff real good. And that's why you're still in business. All right. So Nabal, he drunk. He ain't got good sense. All right. And he's very unappreciative. And his name means folly. That's what his name even means. So Nabal said, listen, I'm not giving y'all nothing. All right. Let the doorknob hit you where the good Lord split you. Get to stepping. Get up out of here quick and step. All right. So he tells David, man, he talking like a gangster. He not no gangster. He not no thug. He ain't in no gang. He ain't got no protection. He ain't nothing, and he's just a little punk. But he disrespectful because David is so respectful, which is the way punks are. The more respectful you are when you run into a punk, they as disrespectful to you as you are respectful towards them because they cowards and they act like they think they, like they're tough or something like that. That's the way people treat you. So that's the way he treating him, even though David's been good to him. So he tells his men to get to stepping and to get lost. So they leave and they go back to David and they tell David what happened. David said, what? He said, man, they really embarrassed us. He said, David, you would have thought this guy would have been grateful, but he really embarrassed us. He said, he sent us packing. He told us he wasn't giving us nothing. He said, we ain't got nothing coming. Get to stepping. He told us to step. You're like, what? David like step? This ain't Club 7. What you talking about? You want us to be stepping at Club 7? What the heck? He said, we ain't stepping. We've been about to step, all right. We're about to step over there to him. He said, come on, everybody mount him up. get your swords out. All right. He said, it's time to go and chop some folks up like chop suey. All right. David ready to go get somebody, right? So David's like, let's go get this dude. I can't believe he talking crazy to us like that, disrespecting us. So while they getting dressed and getting their stuff on, the man's wife comes home. Her name is Abigail. So Abigail comes home, and one of the servants tell her, he said, hey, Abigail, you need to get on the first camel smoking and get down there and holler at David. I said, because your husband crazy as a box of rocks. He up in the drinking that Henny Hen and that Jack Daniels. He ain't got good sense. He drunk, and he talk crazy to David. And David is about to come down here and peel caps. Are you hearing me? And David don't just come and take the food and go. When he come, he don't leave no witnesses. All right. When he invade the land, he killed everybody, including you. So don't you think you're going to get up out of here just because you're a cutie pie, all right? He's going to chop your head off too. So she's like, you ain't got to tell me twice. So she jumped on the first thing smoking and told the driver, don't slack. Let's go. All right, let's get, don't worry about the bumps and the bruises and all the things of a two-time loser. Don't even worry about that. Get the bumps and the bruises and all the things of a two-time loser. That Teddy Pendergrass was playing while she was rolling. She said, don't even worry about it. Let's go. All right, so they take off. And they get out there where David is. And she gets up off of a horse and whatever she was driving. And she gets up off of it and she get on her knees. And she bowed down in front of David. And she said, David, I was not at home when you came by the house. She said, don't you come kill us. This is innocent blood. She said, my husband, his name is Nabal, and it means folly. He ain't got the sense he was born with. She said, but I wasn't there. She said, if I had been there, I'd have cooked y'all everything. They got a home cooked meal, and you'd had plenty to take back with you. She said, but my man ain't got good sense. She said, but don't come kill us. Don't come kill us. Don't come kill us, because it's been a big mistake. All right. So David said, you know what? I appreciate you coming out here. He said, because we was about to strap it up, and we was coming to your house, and it was gonna be on and cracking. Everybody about to get their head cracked up in there. He said, but because you came out here, we respect that. He said, because you came out here, I'm not going to shed no innocent blood. He said, thank you for coming out here so I didn't have to shed no innocent blood. Go home in peace. You all good. All right. So she get back to the crib, and Nabal is drunk. So when she walks by Nabal, she said, I ain't going to talk to you right now. I'm going to talk to you in the morning because you ain't got good sense. You know, you can't talk to drunk people, right? So she walks right by him and let him go to bed. So he wakes up the next morning, and she goes up and tell him what happened. She said, you know what, man? She said, you ain't got, I don't know what's wrong with you. She said, you know how good David is. You know how he treated us, how he took care of our entire business. And why we even still got a business right now is because David was the security for our business, and he was free. All right. And all he wanted was some food, just a little. He just wanted you to break him off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. That's all David said was, can you give me a break? Give me a break. Can you break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar? He said, just give me a little bit of that Kit Kat bar. That's all I want. That'd be good. All right. And she said, you wouldn't even do that. She said, so don't worry about it, though. She said, because I took care of things. Everything's okay. I took care of David. His men all right. Everybody's eating now. They cool. They chilling. He not mad no more. He was mad. Yeah, he wanted to come and chop your head, clear off your head. All right. But you ain't got to worry about that. Your head not going to get chopped off. None of us are going to get killed. The children are okay. The grandkids are all right. The servants are okay. Everything's in check. I handled that business. Okay. And thank God for Abigail. All right. She handled that business. Okay. So my man is like, you would have thought it would have been cool. But you know, the Bible say the wicked flee when ain't nobody even pursuing them. All right. So that means that when you know you dogging people, and when you know you treating people like punks, and when you know you violating, all right, you know in the back of your mind, man, in the back of your mind, you can't get no rest because you're saying to yourself, man, I'm running folk over, you know, I'm running people over. I'm mistreating people, you know, and I know that, you know, sooner or later stuff gonna catch up with me. Somebody gonna crack my head. And that David dude, I hear what you're saying, Abigail, but David's coming back. He's absolutely positively coming over here. Ain't no way in the world he gonna let that slide. He a killer. I mean, he's a righteous killer, you know. And I know I'm gonna talk crazy to him when he came and all that, but now I'm sober. I was drunk last night. He said, but now I'm sober, and now I ain't got no, you done blew my high, girl. I ain't even got time for a hangover. All right, all right. He's like, man, David is on his way back. So focus is what you don't do. Focus is not what you do. So what you don't do is you don't focus on being unforgiven when you have been forgiven. You don't focus on that because all you do is drive yourself crazy. Focus is what you don't do, that not what you do. All right. So don't you focus on what you don't want, because why? You want to be forgiven, right? I say, is that right? Put right in the chat. Do you want to be forgiven? Okay. Every single one of us do you want to live and walk around in shame? Do you want to walk around in fear? Do you want, I say you want to be forgiven, right? Put right in the chat. Do you want to be forgiven? Okay. All right. Everybody. Don't everybody want to be forgiven? There's a person right here that want to walk around up under condemnation. Anybody looking forward to that? I mean, is that the way you want to live your days, where you walk around feeling guilty and like, God finna crack my head any minute, and like, any second right now, my life is going to be okay. Who in the world wants to live like that? All right. Does that make sense? Why do you want to focus on what you don't want? All right. When you are already forgiven. So David forgave this man. All right. And David is a type of Christ. And when Christ tells you you're forgiven, you're forgiven. So don't you sit around and focus on stuff that you don't want to see happen in your life based on guilt and based on shame and based on feeling like you still finna get it coming, because God is a merciful God. If he gave us all we had coming, would nobody be listening to me right now? Everybody be dead, because all in sin and come short of the glory of God. So ain't nobody no better than nobody else. Okay. So remember that as you go out into your day and start handling your business and stuff, we all on equal playing field around here. Okay. Understand that. All right. So that your self-esteem won't be so messed up until you mess around and fall into the trap of your own muck and mire based on focusing on what you don't want. So when you're not getting what you want on a regular basis, it's because you just focused on what you don't want. So you're getting it because that's what you focused on. So this man is about to get what he don't want. All right. So he says, man, David is coming back. David is coming back. I know he's coming back. He said, I can hear them horses coming down the street right now. Man, my wife is tripping. Ain't no way in the world she settled that thing that easy. It can't be that easy. I can't be forgiven that easy. All right. It just can't happen. Ain't no way in the world he forgave us. All right. He's coming. See, that's what people tell themselves. People tell themselves that, you know what? Based on what I've done, God has not forgiven me. Based on what I've done, I'm in trouble. Based on what I've done, I heard what you said, but based on what I've done, it can't be that simple, because it just can't be that simple. It just can't be. It's got to be more to it than that, and you got people right now who are in the grave because they talk themselves into the grave. You got people right now who could be doing amazing things in life, but they talk themselves out of everything because the focus is not on, because they focused on what they shouldn't be focused on. Are you hear what I'm saying? I got a question for you. What are you supposed to be doing right now today? I mean, that you should be making it rain like a hurricane, but you done talked yourself out of it. I just got to ask you that question, because all the success that we don't have, we talked ourselves out of it. Are you hearing me? And everything that you're supposed to be happening in your life that's not happening is because you talked yourself out of it. Why? Because you're focusing in on what you don't want to happen. And you focused in on it, laser beam focused on what you don't want to happen. And I'm telling you, focus is what you don't do. Focus is not what you do. Don't focus on that. All right. Because when God tell you and forgave you about something, it's over, baby. Are you hearing? Ain't nothing else to talk about. Are you hearing what I'm saying? It don't matter how nobody else feel. What matters is how God feel. And when God says something is done, it's done. When God said it's finished, it's finished. When God said it's over, it's over. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And this woman is a type of God because she's telling him it's over. All right. This woman got an anointing on her. All right. She went and took care of this problem, and she took care of this problem for real. And it's taken care of. And it ain't nothing else to talk about. It's all done. But some people just can't get out their own way. Now you hear what I'm saying? Because they're like, man, I'm determined to make myself miserable by putting myself back in the prison that God had already took me out of. All right. This man just putting himself in prison. The man is out of prison. He's safe. Ain't nothing wrong. Ain't no way in the world I would let somebody open up the prison door and then just walk back and voluntarily get back in after the prison door been opened up. Are you hear what I'm saying? And so some of you got amazing gifts, amazing talents. You should be doing amazing things. All right. Only just in prison that you put yourself in. All right. Break out today. Everybody put it in the chat. Break out. All right. Just put BO. All right. It's time to break out. Come on. It's time for some breaking out. Come on. Let's go. It's time for some breaking out, y'all. Enough is enough. All right. Come on. You got too much talent. You got too much skill. You got too much to give. Are you hearing me? Than to be sitting over here in that self-imposed prison. All right. Stop it. Break out. Let's go. Let's go. Break out. Come on. I need y'all to break out. Yeah. Let's break out. Let's go. Let's go, Eddie. Let's go. Let's go, KB. Let's go. Who else want to break out of here? I don't know about y'all, but I'm breaking out every day. I'm not going to sit around in no prison. Are you hearing me? Let's go. Who else want to break out? Let's go, Queen. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. DNX. Let's go. Who else want to break out? Come on. I said, who else want to break out? Let's go, Joyce. Let's go. Come on, Jackie. Let's go. Who else want to break out? You're just going to sit there and accept that stuff? Don't accept that stuff. All right. Let's go. Let's go. Let's break up out of that. This man is focused on what he don't want. Are you hearing me? And he gets in his brain. David is coming back. David coming back. I don't know what she's talking about. He just puts himself back in the prison, mental prison, and locks himself up to the extent that he starts believing what's a lie so much, and to the extent that he does what? The man has a heart attack. Are you hearing me? The man has a heart attack in jail that he put himself in, a self-imposed prison that God ain't got nothing to do with. His wife, the angel that she is, then set this man free. And the man won't accept the deliverance. Listen to me. Some people, man, I'm telling you, they just won't accept deliverance. You come by and God like, look, that door is open. And this situation is the next step for you to take. But they won't accept the deliverance. Why? Because they're in a self-imposed prison. They're like, no, 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 no. I'd rather stay over here and wallow in this self-imposed prison that I put myself into and act like it ain't no way out of it. And then end up what? With high blood pressure, sick, messed up in the head. Just it's a personal choice. The way that you decide what you decide to focus on and what you decide to not focus on. Are you hearing what I'm saying? But just some people just can't believe the grace of God and how awesome God is. And then he said, don't focus on what's done happened before because it's over with. All right. Focus on what's going on right now. Stop focusing on that. That's what but this man is determined to what? Kill himself. Are you hearing me? He said, man, David coming back, 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 David coming back. Man, he close to the crib right now. Was that him right there? Was that? Oh no, my bad. I thought that was him. Was that? What was that? What was that? Was that the door just opened up? Hey, Dad, how you doing? Oh boy, why you scaring me like that? Scaring you, Dad? I just walked in the room. Thought you was David. Why? Because people start tripping. You know how it is. Everything started looking like it's gonna bring about your demise. It ain't nothing but witchcraft. Nothing but haunting people. I ain't hear me. Ain't no way in the world I'd haunt myself. How much sense did that make? I hear me. I'm gonna wake up in the morning today. Casper, the friendly ghost. Oh, man, what kind of mess is that? Just gonna invite Casper into the crib, right? The unfriendly ghost. Scaring yourself. Stop scaring yourself, okay? Don't focus on what you don't want. Because focus ain't what you do. Focus is what you don't do. All right. So don't focus on what you don't want. So this man is so determined to kill himself until he has a heart attack. I mean, he did a good job of it. He like, boom, hit the ground, right? And went into a coma. Are you hearing me? And I believe 10 days later, the man died. Listen, don't die before your time. Don't let your dreams die. Okay. Don't let your purpose die. Don't let what you was born and meant to do here die. You born and meant to do great things, mighty things, phenomenal things. God said, man, I'm going to show you good and mighty things that you don't know nothing about. God is like, man, my plans for you is to do you good and not evil, to give you an expected end. God is like, I expect you to boom, 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 and the zoom, zoom. God is like, man, I like the way you're working. That's what God is saying to you. Don't you listen to them other stuff. Don't you listen to none of them thoughts in your head that's done dismiss God. God ain't went nowhere. God is paying close attention to you. And God is very concerned about your life. He said, I never leave you and I never forsake you. You can run off on him if you want to, but he said, I'll never leave you and I'll never forsake you. He said, wow, because I'm the Lord God and I change not. He said, I'm with you always, even until the end of the world. He said, I'm with you 100% in your endeavors to do what it is that I told you to do. He said, so let's get out here and make it rain like a hurricane. Let's not be locking ourselves up in no prison and focus on what we don't want. Because what? That's what we're going to get. We're going to get 100% of what we focus on. So as we close the day, remember these three things. Don't focus on other people's business. Number two, don't focus on other people's money. And number three, don't focus on what you don't want. And watch what happen in your life. Everything that you have left over will be amazing, victory to victory to victory, and whatever it is that you're doing and whatever your life's endeavors are. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Come on, let me pray for you. Father, we thank you today, Lord, for your power and for your might and for the ability to be able to focus on what it is that'll move the needle, what it is that'll really help us. And Lord, we want to stop focusing on what we don't want, Lord, because we know that your plans towards us are marvelous plans because you're a marvelous God. So we're going to accept your word today and we're going to denounce everything that ain't like you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. God bless you all. Have a beautiful day. It's been a plum pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege. I love you all. Ain't nothing you can do about that. And remember that stellar is as stellar does. Have a great day today and get your focus right, okay? God bless you. Manifold blessings to you today. Have an outstanding day. Outstanding. Outstanding day.